use multiple attacks against your foe. You know a bit more about building a combo, but if you stick to the standards, you might get bored, so let's look at some bonus moves for German Longsword. Hello again, everyone. Lauren back with you. The last video we did was creating combat combos. Some nice alliteration to say, build a fight style. Create that fight style, 1, 2, 1, if that's, your standard opening, and then come to different things. But I want to expand on it a little bit more. We talked about longsword and saber and other things, but today I'm specifically going to look at a few German longsword things, just to kind of reinforce that when you're building your combinations that you want to practice, whether it's solo training against a friend that you have, something that you can use in the club if you have one to train, if you build a pal, that's always a good thing to train against. But you don't just want to use the same 3 or 4 combos all the time. And it's not that you want to have a dozen combos, but you want to change them up. And you can add Meisterhau, the master cuts. So longsword is generally the most popular part of HEMA. So I figured start there. And what did we do last time? Well, for example, 1, 2, 1, simple cutting sequence, or 1, 3, 1, with our passing steps as we're moving. Well, that's great, but that's all on a straight line, and you don't always want to do that. You want to get yourself some time. You want to get yourself distance. You want to make the opponent have further distance to travel with their sword to defend, which thus means that you have the time advantage. So why, when we do these combos, do we just do them on a single line? Well, we don't. We shouldn't. So maybe you could practice with your attack on 1, with your attack next on your cut 2, do triangle step, step off the line, change that line. Remember, the line is something that you feel extend from you. I stepped, I rotated so that I'm still focused at the opponent. The opponent now has to change in order to catch up to me. So by doing that, 1, 2, the sword is here, the opponent is over there, they have more distance, which means it takes them more time, which means that I might be able to deliver that strike. So that's one thing you can do in your combos. Change the line. Move. Get some lateral movement. Get some triangle steps going. Circle to the side. Get that so that you are using time and distance against your opponent by forcing them to take more time in order to defend themselves from whatever your second or third attack of the sequence is going to be. Also, we can change the types of cuts. We can add something. So cut 1, cut 2, cross cut. And of course, we are stepping to the side, a good cross cut. And I mentioned Zwerchau or Zwerchau or Zwerchau before. Bunch of different ways to pronounce it. Go with the one that works for the sources that you might read, or what they use in your club. And if not, well, you can just say Zwerch because it sounds fun, or crosscut. Then we can all agree on that in English. There we go. But I've moved my body. Again, I've changed the line. The opponent is here. I've come around, and I've done this cut. And you could follow up. And you see, as I do them, I'm moving both feet, giving the camera a bit of a focus workout there. So when you're putting these combos together, you can add additional cuts. You can add the master cuts to them. You can go 1, 2, do something really crazy, but not really crazy, because it looks crazy, but it's actually quite smart. But you're moving your whole body. You're changing the line. You're doing this additional cut. Maybe you come in 1, you're in a neutral bind, Grumpau, to knock down the sword. False edge as your next movement. So you can add, in your solo training, for example, you can add parts where you're doing a cut that's not to the opponent, but it's a beat, a bind, so a cut, a wind, a thrust. You can then elaborate. So you're thinking that, okay, if I attack this person and they try to get the control and ruin my second attack of my combo that I was building, what about an attack, defend, attack combo? So you could do that. You can say that I attacked. Oh, the opponent was really pushing down. Wind. What am I in the position for? A thrust. So I can do that. Attack, wind, thrust. And that can be a combo that I practice. So that I know that I have this instinctive reaction when I'm in this position. If my cut failed and the opponent was really fast and strong to knock it aside, instinctually I'm going to recover. So I've practiced that. So my combos don't always have to be attack. That's why I didn't call them attack combos. They're combat combos, because you can add defensive little pieces to it. Alright? So there's more to it. So you can change your line. You can use different types of cuts, alternate cuts. You can add defensive elements to it. So it's an attack, defend, attack. And you can really flesh out sequences. Get a spreadsheet and you can make notes as to how they work. And this way you can practice them against the pal, solo train, and then save controlled sparring against someone. You can tell them what you're trying to do. Practice, I'm going to do this move, you do this, and then I'll respond with this and that. And then let them try their own combos on you. And this way you're building up those neural pathways, building your reactions so that you know what to do when you try. So you say, I'm going to start with this. And so you could say, I'm going to have 4 combinations that start with a cut 1. And each one is going to have something different that happens. One of them, I'm just going to be able to power through. One of them, I'm going to get, knocked aside right away, so I have to recover and then deliver a new attack. Maybe I get a couple of attacks in and I want to do a thrust. Maybe I get a couple of attacks, I'm thwarted at some point, and I have to do something else. So you can build these up. Spreadsheet is a very good way to list all this out. Or write notes in a notebook, but just practice it. Or just make them up. Or if you have a friend who's watching, maybe not necessarily into doing the drills with you, you can have these things written down and they can call them out. So you can say, okay, come up with a sequence, 1, 2, and then pick something else. So you do 1, 2, and they shout 4, and you have to do a cut 4. So you can, or 1, 2, thrust, blocked, recover. You can have these little things. And of course, as always, if you're going into an attack, if it fails, you can always just step back and recover to a guard. Defensive, offensive. Keep the sword. A plow or a shoulder vantag are usually good things for this, because you've got the sword either loaded up, ready for attack, or ready to move in for defense. But practice that as well as part of your combos. When you've done your combo, recover to a guard. Always recover to a guard. Very important, because this is going to train you to know when to break off the attack, reset, and get ready. Rather than stay in there and then end up going to grappling, getting hit in the leg, all sorts of crazy things that happen because now the plan has gone out the window and it's just flailing about. Recover, reset, restart. It's important. Alright friends, thanks very much for watching this little bit of extra content on powering up your combo. Do remember, like, subscribe, and of course comments, because comments help fuel the content of the channel. Whatever you'd like to see, I'd like to talk about it. So let's discuss. So don't forget those comments. But of course, likes and subscribing, that helps algorithms, and we get to a wider audience. We're at 484 subscribers, so we're getting close to 500. Hopefully, I can do a special 500 sub video. Anyway, thanks again. Take care. Stay safe. Keep on swinging, and keep changing it up.